Hello again. Because nobody in modern Britain wishes to speak in a plain and unadorned fashion about the real world, I find myself sometimes in an invidious position, in that simply describing what is clearly happening is seen as hate speech or incitement to violence. So it is that even describing the difference between refugees and invaders is seen as being at best in poor taste and at worst as racism and xenophobia. Let's have a go, though. When a man finds that his wife and children are in danger, then he usually tries to protect them. If he runs away and travels halfway across the world to escape the danger, while leaving his family to face what he dare not, then that man is a coward and shirker, one to be despised. There is, of course, an exception to this general rule, and that is if a man feels that going off to another country to fight is the honourable thing to do. So it was that during the Second World War, British men left their own country and went abroad to fight the Germans and Japanese because they knew that the best way of protecting their families in the long run would be to defeat Germany and stop them from launching attacks on Britain by means of missiles and bombs. When we see tens of thousands of young men arriving in our country, we therefore ask ourselves at once, or rather we should ask ourselves, if these men are cowards who have abandoned their mothers and sisters, wives and daughters, or if they are rather soldiers who feel that invading countries in the West is the best way of protecting their homelands from attack by Britain and America. You see, the truth is that this country has attacked Iraq and Afghanistan, Libya, Iran, Syria, and various other countries. Never mind what justifications might be advanced for those attacks, the fact remains that they have taken place. Do those young men from such places come here feeling that the best way of protecting their families is to invade and try and destroy the nations which have carried out those bombing raids and missile attacks on their homelands? In other words, are they motivated, however mistakenly, by the same motives which caused our fathers and grandfathers to leave behind their families and go off to various foreign countries during the Second World War? Are we witnessing a flood of worthless young scoundrels who have abandoned their own countries, leaving their women and children behind, just for an easier and more advantageous life in the West? Or are we, on the other hand, seeing an invading army, intent upon overthrowing the regimes of nations which they regard as mortal threats to their own homelands? Is this a slow motion and undeclared war being waged against the West, with the hope of first destabilising and ultimately toppling the governments of various countries and perhaps installing their own people in positions of power? Are we actually watching a war in progress rather than a tide of asylum seekers?